Logistics has always been about movement, goods, people, and in more recent years, ideas. But as the world demands a more sustainable future, the way we move things must evolve. So in this fireside chat today with me, we meet two leaders that are pushing that change forward. We've got Ben from PedalMe, who's reimagining last mile delivery with cargo bikes, and Dipen from GLYNT.AI, where they're using AI-powered tools to measure and accelerate sustainability across the supply chain. So two guys, very different sides of the table, but their mission is shared to create a smarter, cleaner, and more accountable logistics system. So let's get started. We'll start with you, Dipen. Let's start by setting the scene. How is AI changing the way we define and pursue sustainability in logistics?
Good. Happy to answer that, Barbara. Well, AI for me is transforming sustainability in logistics by making it an outcome-driven solution. And the outcomes are the key part of AI. AI really is only good as the data it runs on. And as a company, that's what GLYNT does. We power AI, and we power AI through our data. So for us, there are two core important parts of AI. Number one, it's data. Feed accurate, compliant, automated data into the system and feed AI through that. The second piece is verified data sets. Create verified data sets that result into what we call today, which is agentic AI. Mm-hmm. And then, what we then do is in that format, AI feeds back through to Salesforce in that instance. So there are various output sources where we can then utilize our AI to then represent and report on. And Salesforce Net Zero Cloud is a clear example for sustainability.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, Ben, you took a very different route, quite literally, with your cargo bike delivery network. So can you give me an idea, what triggered your journey into making that logistics more sustainable, and what keeps you motivated?
So we started out teaching kids to ride bikes in council estates, and we needed a way to move these bikes around. And we found that using cargo bikes was just a much more efficient way of doing this, and vans were really a waste of everyone's time and money. And then we realized that, of course, there's more logistics in London than moving bikes around, and there's quite a lot of people that needed on-time logistics. So that's where we started, really, because we could see that cargo bikes were not just cleaner, but just more efficient, faster, could deliver much better outcomes for customers by being on time more and providing better quality of customer service through using employees. So it's not just about emissions, it's also about creating a logistics system that works with the city, less congestion, predictable journey times, local jobs with proper rights. And AI helps us in that by keeping us really lean, keeping us efficient, and therefore allowing us to compete with alternative business models which are maybe less ethical and cut corners and evade taxes in a way that we don't. And we can still be price competitive with those models. So it's this combination of human scale transport with machine scale optimization is what keeps it all working.
Amazing. Great. Thanks both. I'm really excited about this conversation. I think we're going to get some really good information here about sustainability within the logistics space and what that looks like into the future. Now, Dipen, you spoke a little bit about how GLYNT feeds data into systems like Salesforce. Can you explain a little bit more about how they work together?
Sure. Well, by integrating GLYNT data into Salesforce Net Zero Cloud, but there's also Net Zero Cloud's one layer, but it also then can integrate into Data Cloud, and that effectively rolls up over to Agentforce. So there is a roll up from a Salesforce stance, but we also integrate into various other solutions. But in this instance, we basically reveal inefficiencies and risks that were invisible before. And that's essentially what our job to do is. GLYNT will provide that data into Salesforce to give, let's say, sustainability managers at PedalMe, for example, to power and address proactive decisions that essentially, just like you mentioned earlier, saves both costs and time.
Great. And then also just following on from the whole AI modeling perspective thing with the data, have you seen any surprising or unexpected sustainability insights that change the way you work as an organization?
Yeah. One surprise, I suppose, is that, I am the CRO of GLYNT, so I'm not a coder. I'm not a tech guy from someone that writes databases or can do SQL. So for me, it's realizing that coders know how to query a database. Most of us don't in this room here today. And for example, we have ChatGPT. We've all used ChatGPT, and we continue to use ChatGPT in very productive ways. It's an amazing interface, but without knowing how to structure a query into the likes of ChatGPT or pre-ChatGPT, you can't unlock the full power of AI. So with that said, that's why GLYNT data sets are pre-built and paired with a huge library of pre-formulated queries. So essentially, anyone can get powerful sustainability insights by utilizing our data, and that feeds through to the likes of Salesforce Net Zero Cloud.
Great. I'm interested in what you say about like having anyone being able to get access to sustainability data. I mean, however many years ago, sustainability wasn't something that was front of mind, and now it is front of mind. So Ben, as someone who's very much got that sustainable solution out on the road, do you think as the drive towards sustainability has increased, that's affected your business model? Do you think it's going to affect your business model in the future?
For sure. It's always been the case that companies have an interest in improving their sustainability credentials, and that's increasing over time. And that often brings people to us. In the first instance, they're maybe looking for something a bit kind of like performative, and they want to show willing. And then once they start using us, they find that actually this isn't just a solution that has the best possible CO2 emissions and provides ethical employment, but actually it just works better. And then we're able to capture more of their work, but then we also help them stop losing customers. While traditionally they were in a state of equilibrium where they were gaining customers and losing customers. And when they stop losing customers because they get good quality logistics, then you see exponential growth start to happen because you're just feeding more customers in. And that's really what's driving our growth. And that's the reason why we're 80% busier than we were a year ago today.
That's good to hear. It's reassuring to hear that that's happening. Staying with that sort of action is that, cargo delivery feels very hands-on. This isn't something, you're never going to have an automated bike wandering around. Someone's going to have to be there. But what role does AI play in driving your accountability for sustainability? Not just like reporting numbers, but triggering real change in your operations.
So at PedalMe, we've always been a very tech-focused company. There's always been this need for us to keep the focus of the company on doing the work which earns the revenue. So the more administration hours that you have to pay for, the greater the volume of work that you need to do, and the greater the margin, the higher you have to charge each customer in order to cover the overheads of the business. And what AI is allowing us to do is actually twofold. The first is because the way we use AI to overlay jobs in real time. So we have a system that's constantly re-optimizing. It knows what load is on what bike, and it knows the time constraints of each consignment as it's traveling. It therefore knows which jobs it can add onto that bike. So you're getting paid multiple times over for time critical logistics, which is the highest paying sector of logistics, and therefore our margins are 36%, whereas the margins across the sector are more typically sort of 15 to 20%.
Okay.
But on top of that, we're able to run with a lot less administration hours, and therefore focus ourselves on getting more work done. So we can automate all kinds of functions using AI.
And I suppose that efficiency drive is then more attractive to bigger customers who are like, well, they can be just as efficient as, well, possibly a lot more efficient than a van. So it makes sense, not just from not from an efficiency perspective, but a sustainability perspective and all the rest of it. So you have that knock-on effect.
100%.
Yeah. Dipen, this is looking at that AI thing is obviously, and Ben made the comment about it taking off some of the administrative load. One of the concerns is about how AI can, where you've got these AI recommendations and then there's human judgment. How do you advise clients to balance that decision making between obviously the data that's AI driven and that human judgment?
Yeah, I think the number one thing around this is AI is not a replacement. And I don't see it when AI will be a replacement, perhaps in 20, 30 years time. But for now, AI does not replace human beings. It enhances human beings, and we need to continue that combined approach to get the best out of AI. So with that said, as we know, Glint delivers automated data into Salesforce or into any other type of solution for sustainability. Salesforce's AI is fed on Glint and fed on our data that we provide them. But that's an abundance of data. And when I say the word abundance of data, some of the value drivers that you were talking about, Ben, is the outputs you're only able to get those value drivers and outputs through AI by feeding in a large array of data. Manually collating data pre-AI just by using a human being is going to be time-consuming, highly costly, inaccurate, fragmented. There are different complexities to that. So by utilizing AI and that human being, you're now actually creating a real operational knowledge bank that feeds into systems and tools that you can report on for the like of PedalMe. So for me, the sweet spot is AI speeds up decisions. It drives the value that you've just mentioned, and that ensures that people hit their ethical, practical, on-brand messaging.
Right. And Dipin, obviously you're selling the tech. How would you respond to that, when people don't have a huge budget to invest?
Well, that's it. I think that what Ben mentioned there was pretty spot on. You don't need to have a massive budget to invest in AI. You don't need to have an in-house data team to start. At Glint, we've built an AI ready, verified sustainability data set. So essentially, companies can plug straight in without building their own infrastructure. So we are truly plug and play. Let us manage that messy, spaghetti, clunky data for you. Let Glint gather, clean, and structure that data so that even the smallest of logistics providers can use AI tools like Net Zero Cloud from day one and see results quickly, drive value quicker, see savings quicker, get optimized with your logistics functionality faster. That's what our data does. It's a simplistic way to plug and play into the right tool set and get the biggest value out of.
I think that's what we're seeing across the sustainability solutions as a whole, like Net Zero Cloud. It's modular, so you can pick and choose the bits that work for you, but so much of it is pre-built. It's just a case of putting your particular data in, and then you get the analytics to support your conversations around your emissions and things like that. Great. I'm going to have to ask the question, because this is what always comes up when we're talking about AI, and I'm going to ask Dipin about this. But when you're building your AI models for sustainability, how do you ensure that they remain transparent, fair, and inclusive, and it's not corrupted by the things that happen and all the different opinions that come in?
Okay, so transparent, fair, and inclusive. Transparency comes from an extensive audit-ready reporting, and in our world, we're doing a very straightforward data tasks. We are, actually think about data or sustainability data as accounting. And essentially, in that world, transparency is exactly what gets us there. From a fairness and inclusivity perspective, those aren't really issues that play here, Barbara, because we're not really making subjective decisions. We're simply delivering accurate, verifiable numbers and data into report systems like Salesforce Net Zero Cloud, which essentially feeds AI and feeds Agentforce to then make wider decisions for customers to use. So it's a mixed answer that I've got there.
No, fair enough. And it's just these general concerns that come up. And also, I mean, one of the big questions that everyone always has about AI and sustainability, where do you see this going over the next 3 to 5 years? So where do you see the biggest leaps happen? Where do you see the biggest change? So Ben, how would you like to see AI and the technology around sustainability helping to support and scale your business?
So PedalMe has two key challenges from a sort of profitability aspect. One is driving up margin, which we're already doing using AI to overlay more tasks. But we also have to stay very focused on the revenue generating activities. We need something like 80% of our staff hours allocated to revenue generation. Otherwise, the sums don't add up and we won't make significant profits. And so I see AI allowing us to automate a whole swathe of functions and to act as an enhancement to those who have like customer service functions, providing better information to riders at the point that they need that information. So making their job easier, so they're more efficient, they're faster, the margin goes up. Automation and forecasting, so that we can see more accurately what resource we're going to need on what day. We're able to forecast how many people are likely to be sick on any given day because of the time of year. All of these kind of things will increase margin, will make us more efficient. And I really see that automation and high tech bit as being really central to our business, and AI being a crucial part of that.
I think, I mean, where I see it, obviously with being able to include a solution like a cargo bike solution within your logistics space allows you to have that, to move towards that predictive decarbonization movement. So if you know that this percentage of your deliveries is being driven by cargo bikes, it means that it's going to affect your overall carbon emissions by X%. So you can predict impact as it happens and then scale up and down as it needs to be. What I wanted to ask is, Dippin, particularly for you, is having that data in there. Do you think GLYNT is part of that, like having that, that predictive decarbonization with the data, and then also being able to stay more aligned with compliance requirements as a whole?
Yeah, I think the biggest leap will come from when we solve the data challenge. And right now, most companies are stitching together multiple data streams. It's a very manual process. It takes a lot of time, a lot of cleaning, a lot of tidying, and that's tough to make decisions from, right? And I think what you just mentioned there, Ben, is so concise, because PedalMe does show what is possible with great data. You can analyze great data and make real business decisions around your operations, but also your sustainability that equals results for your business growth. And that's what GLYNT here is here to do, to provide. So for me, the formula is really simple. It's build the data, add the AI in that exact order, and then build even more data from that. You have to consistently grow and add more data to make AI as functional and to make AI as operational and productive as possible and drive the value that we need to see. And once that second lap of data is complete, the AI will be extraordinary. The AI reaches a whole new level of agentic AI and of outputs that we really want to see. And hopefully we'll see that through PedalMe in the near future.
Great. Fantastic. Well, I mean, my key takeaway from today has been that the question isn't whether sustainability and technology can work together. It's really a question of how far we're willing to take it. And I think, thank you so much for joining me today, because it's really clear that we're on that path, and it'd be good to see how it changes over the next couple of years.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.